Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome back again to another Growth Labs. Okay, before we get started, everyone, may we please ask everyone to pin their screen on Ignite House. To do this, just click on the People tab. It's at the upper right corner of your screen. So just click on that, and there you will see Ignite House, those with asterisk. Okay, so click on that and then click on the pin button. Once pinned, you should now be seeing restart.app with the countdown timer. We are down to 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Okay, so thanks everyone for coming in early. So as a little treat, we are going to preload you into our app. Okay, and to do this, we just have to follow three very simple steps. Okay, first step, as you can see now on the screen, restart.app. So just type that into your address bar. There you go. Thank you, Houston. Restart.app. Or you can just click on the link that we sent via chat. Okay, so the second step would now be to log in. So if you have an account already, click on log in. But if you don't have one yet, just click on register with email or continue with Facebook. Creating a new account will only take just about less than a minute. Okay, so let's log in, please, Houston. Okay, so Aileen. Okay, if you guys managed to log in already, you should now be seeing this new UI. So we actually updated the app quite recently. So it's a good fresh look right now. So, okay. And our last step to get into our Growth Lab card for today would be, as you can see, scroll down a little bit. There you go. What's next? Let's get into what's next, Houston. There you go, GPS Wednesdays. So let's click on claim and then next. So our event for today, our growth lab for today is GPS Wednesdays. Okay, so um, for those who just came in, we will be sending these instructions via chat. So just read on that and follow along. Okay, if you guys have any questions about this new layout or about restart.app in general, you can click on the help desk button. It's at the lower right corner of your screen, that blue circle button. Just send us a message there and we will get back to you in no time. Okay, we are down to 2 minutes before starting. Once again, everyone, may we remind to pin your screen on Ignite House. Okay, thank you and see you guys in a few minutes.
Welcome to Restart.ph, a tech-empowered community of purpose and practice. We collaborate in 100-day sprint cycles to accelerate new products, services, solutions, and models that drive relevance, resilience, growth, and impact in our markets. Using algorithms to continually tap our diversity of people, teams, and companies, we learn from each other while solving our own business cases, measuring key results, and defying the limits of what is possible in 100 days. Foundational to this kind of breakthrough peak performance is nurturing, beyond wellness, our wholeness as individuals who are strong, who embrace our gifts as much as our pains, who channel empathy, compassion, and love into relentless innovation and impact. Concrete ways we renew the world and make it a better place for all.
right. Welcome to the future of work, it said. But for those of you who joined us yesterday, this will be a familiar blank. Welcome to the future of blank. And the blank is again yours to fill. Welcome to another GPS Wednesday. I am Andre Yap. For those of you who are accustomed to joining us Mondays to Fridays, other than yesterday, which was All Aboard Tuesday when we started another cohort, I actually have been gone from the Daily Growth Labs for at least 4 weeks, probably about 6 weeks. So I haven't seen many of you in a long time other than yesterday. Now, for those who joined us yesterday, let me do a little something. Most of the canvas that we had yesterday, if you remember, was a map. And I want to call up one of those maps, the bingo map from yesterday. Houston, if you could help us, please. All right, remember this bingo map. Welcome to the future of. And I said, welcome to the future of, welcome to the future of. So I bleeped it because, again, it is yours to fill in the blank. If you recall, we're all about next level breakthroughs here, which is why in the map, you will see a lot of mountain peaks. These are the next levels that we all have to climb. Some of us here are in HR. Our guest today certainly is a star in the HR universe. And so many of his next level breakthroughs have to do with HR. Many others of us are in product development, R&D, marketing, sales. Perhaps we are general managers or owners of our own businesses. We are SME entrepreneurs. So whoever we are, whatever it is we're doing, we all have again, the future of. What's your blank? What are you trying to get to? What is your mountain peak? So as we uncovered yesterday, no matter what our mountain peak is, we are going to have to traverse these 6 elements. If we want to reinvent healthcare, if we want to have a better future for our HR community, if we want to launch breakthrough products, if we want to be able to pursue business model changes, if we want our business to survive, we're going to have to, for example, learn to see with fresh eyes. We have to learn and never stop. We have to break down the boundaries of work and not just think that we're in marketing or we're in HR. Or that we work for this particular company, and so on and so forth, all the way to fulfilling our greatest promise. So whatever it is, this is a community that will help you get there by traversing these 6 points. How do we get there? The 6 boxes in the bottom. Today we will be, as we do with every Wednesday, we call it GPS Wednesdays. So as you can see, the first white box on the upper left-hand corner is called Genius, Purpose, and Service as the GPS for our life's greatest impact. So as we're saying, everything here in Ignite, although most of our work is really channeled towards innovation, launching new products, launching new solutions, new services, new models. In the case of our guest, I remember him being with us maybe about 60 to 70 days ago, and he gave us his business situation. And I think we resolved that. I think we will hear from him today as well, a little bit about that, by saying, well, it's not a new product that we have to launch. It's not a new service that we have to launch. It's a new, and I'll stop here and I'll probably let him do the rest of the explanation. It's a new code, a new code. In any case, it's new. And the newness of it responds to whatever the people around us are needing in the moment. In other words, it's about relevance. So that is what Genius, Purpose, and Service is. It's GPS. As with Waze, it helps us find our way forward. How do we find our way forward through life? That is the topic of GPS Wednesdays. Every innovation, every new thing that we launch is anchored on this GPS. And what it is, you will find not through our PowerPoint decks, but through the story and examples and the character of our guest today. So again, I am Andre Yap. I will, from time to time, throw in some questions. My role today is just to welcome you all back in. I will now introduce or call on our lead host, who will introduce us to today's programming, front and center of which is our guest for GPS Wednesday. So without further ado, I am again Andre Yap. Let me call now my partner in Ignite, Joanna Alberto. Joanna, good afternoon.
Hello. Good afternoon, Andre. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to GPS Wednesdays. Nice to have you back, Andre. Na-miss mo kami?
Well, let's see who missed who on board.
Okay, I'm sure we're gonna hear from you again later. You're one person who cannot allow people to be.
Wait.
Oh, bleep!
Nice.
Okay.
Come back. Act like you missed.
We missed you, kaya we want you to be talking a lot today. So just relax and we will call on you later. All right?
Okay.
Okay, again, welcome everyone to GPS Wednesdays, personal stories and life lessons from guests on how to live our deepest truths and so fulfill our highest potential and greatest promise. My name is Joanna Alberto, as Andre said. I'll be your host for today. I am the co-founder and managing partner for Ignite Center for Peak Experiences under Ignite House of Innovation. So let's talk about GPS Wednesdays. GPS Wednesdays is all about what we believe here in Ignite as life most important questions. Important questions. We have 7 questions here. Houston, can you please show us the 7 questions? The 7 most important questions are: who am I? Why am I here? What was I born to do? With who? For who? To heal what pains or fill what needs? With what gifts that I have been given? So these questions are not just random questions. There is an intricate balance in all these, full of depth and meaning. And the answers to these questions will actually lead us to live what I said earlier, our deepest truth, so as to fulfill our highest potential and greatest promise. Let's compare this to a seesaw. When we talk about a seesaw or fulcrum with a lever, we well know that in the basic law of physics, the deeper we sink on the other side, the higher the lift on the other, right? So thus goes the same with our truths. The deeper we live our truths, the higher and higher fulfillment of our potential and greatest promise. I'm positioning myself because I'm going to show you my own seesaw. I have my own seesaw here. You see? Wait, okay, there you go. So I have my own seesaw. So there you go. Truths, deepest truths, highest potential, greatest promise, right? So mediocre truth, mediocre potential. And if you're living a lie, if you're not being true to yourself, obviously your highest potential won't be realized. So live our deepest truths so as to fulfill our highest potential and greatest promise. There you go. That's my own seesaw. So GPS Wednesdays is a journey within the map that Andrew talked about earlier. Each week we feature a guest from yet another walk of life who opens to us his journey, and together then we are his active companions. Why active companions? Because if we listen close enough, at the end of the show, we will give our guest a gift that will mirror his own truth. But actually, not just his own truth. Because if we really, really, really listen close enough, these truths may also mirror our truths. So this afternoon, let's pause in the busyness of life. Let us open our hearts and minds to discover our truths in the lens and story of our featured guest. All right, so I'm excited to introduce who our guest is. Our guest is a talent and culture architect, a cyber wellness designer. He's also a mentor and dad to two Gen Z professionals, as he calls them. He's the founder and president of Lodi, an organization behind hashtag HR Mentoring, a 6 Saturday modular program that seeks to improve HR services in the ground level. And he believes that an improved HR services promotes social justice and responsibility, which in turn leads to industrial peace and nation building. Quite deep, quite strong, huh? And he's also a thought leader partner of Job Street Philippines. And he is the brand behind Ask Sonnie. Ask, A-S-K, A-S-K, A for advocate of hashtag HR in HR, human rights in human resource, and hashtag digital citizenship. He is also a twice awardee. S, he's a strategist for talent and culture development and content inspiration. And K, he's a keynoter and facilitator of workplace and life learning. Ang dami. I didn't mention pa all. So there's so many things behind this mysterious gentleman still. All right, so are we ready to hear his truth and be part of this afternoon walk with him? Let's all welcome Sonnie Santos. Sonnie, yay, I can see your face. Hi, Sonnie, how are you? Wait, we can't hear you yet. Hello? Baka naka-mute. Nope. You might want to unplug your headset if you want. Ciara is clapping already. Hello? Houston, can you help me with this? I think Sonnie's having a problem. Aha. Yeah, Sonnie, you have two accounts. Maybe you can try the other account. You can use two accounts, actually. You can use the video of the other account and use the audio of the other account if you wish.
Hello, check. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. Now I
All
can.
right. No.
Yes. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. And thank you for the invite.
Welcome
And good
again.
afternoon to your listeners and viewers and the Ignite community.
Welcome again, Sonnie. And iba ngayon ang ano natin na angle. We were here before, pero iba ngayon. This is more personal. So,
Aha.
GPS Wednesdays, are you ready? Medyo
Kinabahan ako bigla.
iba yung ngiti mo eh. So, kasi in Ignite, this GPS Wednesdays, we all know already, GPS stands for Genius, Purpose, and Service, right? It's a personal compass, no? Internal compass for navigating our life's deepest truths. So our Wednesday format is like 120 minutes of open conversation, open and honest conversation. And our vibe is very informal and relaxed. So, kwentong buhay lang tayo. Kwentong buhay, life stories. If you will allow us to get into your life.
Right.
As if we were like, having an afternoon walk lang na merong mga nanonood on the side. So, kwentuhan lang tayo. Okay? So, I'm going to start this off by asking you a very simple question, though. Parang, the way of introducing yourself as well. Like, the question is, where are you now? Like, what occupies your mind, your heart, your spirit in terms of what you'd like to accomplish next? I know you're doing a lot of things, so we want to hear from you where you are right now.
Okay, my primary focus right now, aside from what I'm doing on the sides, on our advocacy, and also on some of the consulting work, it is more on building my two kids' professional development. I have two kids. The eldest, siya ay graduate ng ECE. And of course, everybody has to start somewhere. So I'm trying to help him navigate the corporate world since medyo ito yung track na tinatahak niya. No? Now, yung bunso, dalawa lang naman yon. my daughter. Now, siya naman ay chef. All right. So, ang tinatahak naman niya is more on the entrepreneurship side. So, trying to assist both of them as they pursue their own purpose, as they develop the gifts that were entrusted to them and how to make an impact to their circle, to sa community nila, and to have some personal satisfaction. Okay, so that's where I am right now. Unlike before, na my focus is always the job, accomplishment on the career, because I have to make sure that my kids will finish properly and they will be ready to face real life. Pero ngayon, graduate na ako doon. So ibang phase naman. On the sides, we're doing a lot of projects in the HR community. And on the personal side, this is more on enjoying what life is and then transitioning my kids and helping them to navigate the corporate world and the business community.
Ngayon ko lang narinig yan, Sonnie, from you. Isa ka palang ulirang ama.
may isa pa akong may isa pa akong objective na gustong gawin eh. Hindi pa nangyayari.
Okay.
And I told my wife before, sabi ko sa kanya, and I can be your personal driver.
Ah, okay.
And kasi kung sa niya ayoko siyang lumabas minsan nang siya lang mag-isa, di ba? I mean, pwede ko naman siyang samahan, pwede ko siyang ihatid, pwede ko siyang sunduin. So things like that. Okay? Kasi medyo ando doon ako sa situation na I want to enjoy my environment. I want to enjoy my life where I am right now. I would like to assist my kids at different phase ng kanilang buhay. And of course, on the sides, assisting HR professionals.
That's music to the ears of a wife. Parang for somebody to tell you that's gonna be driving you wherever she wants to go. That's very good for, this is very nice to hear for a wife. So, Sonnie, let me ask you, kasi you're saying that you're talking about your kids and what's for them. Like you're doing this, parang you're kind of sacrificing your what you're planning for yourself in terms of, kumbaga, you're being selfless at this time. Meaning, yes, you're enjoying that because as a father, you would want to see your kids, of course, success in life as well. But let me ask you, you're doing still this HR thing on the side, right? On that
Yes.
part of your life, on that aspect of your life, what do you have? What's bugging you in terms of your, we call it next level breakthrough in that aspect? You're not leaving that totally naman behind, diba? Like you're not setting that aside totally. You're still doing it. What is your next level breakthrough in this aspect naman?
Related ito doon sa code na ginagawa din namin on the sides with Aileen and the other members of the community. And twofold kasi siya. On the skill side, this is more on equipping the new HR practitioners to make sure they will know how to navigate in the corporate setup, to have the right skill set, to have the right framework, mindset, to be able to succeed in their profession and in their job. Okay. Then on that aspect, we would like them to be an independent person. I always tell the learners or the mentees around me, HR should not be 50-50, 50% employer side, 50% employee. Sa akin, dapat walang ganun eh. You are 100% HR. If what you are about to undertake is something that is beneficial for the employer, it is the employer's prerogative and the employer's right, then by all means, go for it. Okay. Now, if you think that the employee deserves this because this is part of their the human rights, it is part of the labor rights that that they are entitled, then dapat you will not work around on that. You just have to implement that and convince your employer na ganon. In short, an HR person should not be influenced either by the employees or the employer. Medyo mahirap yan gawin. Kasi syempre, you do not bite the hand that feeds you. Yun laging sinasabi sa atin eh. Right? And likewise, laging naririnig natin, lalo na ngayong pandemic, uy, magkaroon ka naman ng utang ng loob. Consider mo naman yung binigay o ginawa sa iyo ng kumpanya mo, di ba? Di ba? So you have to be considerate, you have to be kind, you have to understand them. I agree. I totally agree. Okay? I'm not saying those are wrong. Pero HR should not take sides. HR should be independent. Okay? HR should be able to decide on what they think is right based on their conviction, based on their mindset, based on their core values as an HR practitioner. Okay, if the employees are trying to push the HR person or influence the HR person to do such acts that would be detrimental to the company, then hindi papayagan dapat ng HR yon. Di ba?
Yes.
Now, kung halimbawang may pinagagawa din ng management kay HR, tanggalin mo yan kasi hindi ko gusto yung itsura ng mukha niya. Di ba? O baka pwede mo i-project tong taong to na unti-unti mawala na siya sa organization dahil he is not the right fit. Okay, then why should HR listen to the management if on the first place it violates already not only the labor code but the whole framework of courtesy and professionalism in the workplace? Okay, so that's on one side. Now, para magawa ni HR yan, may kakambal yan sa kabila eh. Dapat the first side is they are technically and professionally equipped. Okay, but on the other side, they should also be financially empowered. The problem with a lot of HR professionals right now, 100% of their salary, they rely it on their employers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, if they belong to such a good organization, okay, then there's no problem. If top management, they followed the human rights in business, if the management followed the general labor standards and even give more, then hallelujah, di ba?
Yeah.
However, 60% of the time, especially in the Philippines, when you belong to a small, medium, and traditional organization, chances are marami kang gray, marami kang areas that you will be facing situations that you will have to make a judgment call based on which is more important, your core values as a professional, or you want to save your ass because you want to keep your job. Diba? Now, to be able to be independent, ito yung ginagawa namin ngayon, ito yung HRpreneurship. Dapat may side hustle sa HR. Eventually, within 5 to 10 years, yung kanyang side hustle will be equal to do sa salary niya sa day job. Now, if HR is financially independent, no top management can bullshit him or her. But if HR is relying on the employer para sa kanyang pambayad sa amortization sa bahay, sa kotse, sa pag-aaral ng kanyang mga anak, o advancement sa kanyang professional development or studies, then I tell you, lalo na pag nag-loan na sa HR, pag nag-loan na yan pagdating doon sa kanyang professional development, okay? Ang susunod na mangyayari niyan, tayong mga Asian or Filipino, may utang ng loob. Ngayon, madalas na ating marinig yan di ba? Uy, magkaroon ka naman ng utang ng loob sa kumpanya mo. I'm not saying it is wrong, okay? Ang sinasabi ko lang, real talk, ito yung nangyayari. Okay? Pagka ikaw, nakasalalay lang, nakasandal sa employer mo, pag sinabihan ka na gawin mo to, then your likely choice would be, I would rather save my ass. I would rather have the means to pay for my amortization, to bring my kids to school, okay, than to have the risk of losing my job. Okay, but if the HR is financially stable, okay, as I said, anytime HR can walk away from a difficult management. In that situation, because it's two different bananas. Okay, those are two different bananas. If the HR should not be in HR if they cannot handle a difficult situation.
Yes.
Okay, but if you're facing a difficult management, and sorry for the word, asshole management, diba? Then you can, at any time, nobody can bullshit you, and you can walk away with your dignity intact.
Sonnie.
Yes, sir.
Tinawag mo ba ako? Did you say
Sabi ko na eh. Sabi ko sa I was like waiting for him. I'm sure with all the things that you're saying, he won't be able to
music
keep quiet.
No, let me jump in with a question here. First of all, Sonnie, thank you for the frank talk, the hard-hitting, straight talk. I love it. Here's the gist of my question. No? First of all, let me say that even as we deep dive into your advocacy in HR, that something in me is saying that what is driving Sonnie in his trajectory and depth of purpose and passion and conviction in the field of HR is not at all unrelated to his deep commitment to his family. And I think we can study that and see if we can actually connect the dots on that later on. But for now, let's pick up on the HR thread. Now, if you watch both my hands, I saw something in what you said that is at once, on one hand, very idealistic, Sonnie, and then on the other hand, it had an air of practicality and boots on the ground experience. No, and what is this? On one hand, you're expressing a deep conviction and sense of principle that HR should be independent. Come to think of it, in all my years of management and being in business, having started so many companies and invested in so many companies, I've never thought of it that way, but you're correct. You're correct, absolutely correct, right? There is, in this season of elections, an independence that we must expect from HR to side neither with management or ownership nor with employees, but simply to do what is right, right? That's the idealistic part. On the other hand, the pain points that you are talking about and the points of attrition, if you will, saan tayo nawawala doon, is very much real. So for example, something that I guess has been at the back of my head, but it never really occurred to me, and certainly nobody has had the balls like you to say it on air, na one of the tragic flaws in the situation of HR professionals is that their financial survival is entirely at the hands of for many of them, in the hands of their bosses, like many Filipino professionals. And so on one hand, you want the independence to do what's right. On the other hand, nakatali ka. So there's so many ways that we can take this line of questioning, but because this is GPS Wednesdays, this is about genius, purpose, and service. What I want to ask you, Sonnie, is saan nanggaling this depth of conviction and this clarity of principle and idealism on one hand, and yet this practicality? I sense that you've had a lot of war stories, and in Ignite, no, we call this this is the P in GPS, which stands for purpose, no? Which, if we can ask Houston to post the purpose question, we want to ask you by way of follow-up. No? In terms of purpose, what are the pains that you have encountered most meaningfully in your life? How have your pains been a gift because they allowed you to care deeply about something bigger than yourself? Now, when we listen to you, you're obviously a man who cares deeply and is willing to follow it by your action for things bigger than yourself. So it has been experienced that it usually is experiences of pain that have allowed you to have this kind of empathy, to have this kind of compassion, and to have this kind of love, no? Which is, you know the pain of others and you want to give the very best of yourself. So can you talk to us about what's driving this purpose in the man behind Sonnie and all his advocacies?
Okay. One of my philosophy is professional humility, or two of my philosophies are professional humility and executive maturity. That is twofold. Professional humility is basically you as a person admitting your limitations. You don't have to let other people find out or figure out where you are lacking or where you are weak. You are not broadcasting this, but at the same time, you are not denying or you are not lying about it. Okay. Executive maturity is you are in a position of strength and you know somebody is at a disadvantage. Okay. And with that position of strength, you have to act on something to make sure that social justice, that sense of fairness will still be applied on the weaker party, even though they are not asking for it. Now, where am I coming from? Once upon a time in my life, I was given a top leadership position. I think I was 23 or 24 back then to handle a large department or division. Now, about a year after that, when I assumed the position, then I have this personal realization, hey, I am not yet ready for this. I might as well take one step back before proceeding with two steps forward. Okay, so instead of denying that I'm lacking certain skill set on that function or that expectation or that role, then I just admitted it, took a step back, and I requested my bosses, the top management, I am stepping down from this position because I cannot fulfill your expectations. I'm not trying to say that I cannot do it, but I'm also not denying the fact that I still have work, a lot of work to do in this area. So I did step down. That is professional humility. But what I was expecting is executive maturity coming from their end, right? Okay, since you're not yet ready, so let us transition yourself to ensure that when you go back to a lower or lesser role, then it will not much affect you and the people around you. But what happened next is unthinkable. Part of the privilege is for me to have a free housing, okay? And I was given a few days to leave the house, even though we have not yet arranged for a new place to move to. Immediately, my salary was cut, not only the last payout, but immediately, as in immediately. And as far as the final pay is concerned, I was expecting that I will be receiving this in about a week or two. And so this could help us transition from this kind of lifestyle to something that is manageable, that is something that is practical. Everything was cut. So we were left hanging. And the thing that I was expecting to receive, it was not given back to us. And that was hell for the next 2 or 3 months. Because at the time, my wife also resigned from a private university and decided to transfer to a state or city university. Okay, at that time as well, my wife was promised that, okay, you will be receiving this much, you will be enjoying this much. Of course, the promise is much better than what she used to receive in a private university. But what happened was, because she is not on the plantilla, okay, she resigned, she moved into this university, she is not in the plantilla, so therefore they are not receiving their salary that they should receive on a promised time. Just imagine, they are receiving their salary every 3 or 6 months, and it is not full. And from my end, everything was cut off. So it was really hell at the time. Okay, so I experienced the unthinkable, I was humbled, and I learned my lesson. I promised myself, never again. I would allow myself, I would allow my family, my future, my plans, I will not entrust it at the hands of any management or any employer. Never again. Second, learning, if I will be in a position of strength, I will practice executive maturity, that whenever I will see people going through some hard times, even though they are not asking, because most people, they would not think out loud or verbalize what they are going through. I'll just have to be sensitive and observe. And if I think they need a little assistance, they need a little space, they need a little hill, and a little lift, then I don't have to brag about it, and I'll just do what I think that I can do. Okay, so that's the core background why I am embracing those two aspects of my advocacy. Technical and professional empowerment at one hand, financial independence on the other, so that the HR professional can never be dictated by any person. They cannot be influenced on their decision. And at the same time, they are not hostage. Their livelihood, their plans in the future, the education of their kids will not be hostage by any employer.
Well, so Sonnie, very clear yung connect the dots, no, of the pain that you initially experienced. First of all, on one hand, the injustice and lack of humanity. And then on the other hand, exacerbated by your complete financial dependence. on them. No? So, and you can see how both dots are now manifesting themselves very clearly in the way you've navigated towards what you're doing right now, and in the battles that you've chosen to fight on behalf not anymore of yourself, but of other HR professionals. Diba? Very clear. So I'm actually shocked by how clear that trajectory is. I guess my question, Joanna, I don't know if you have others know, but my question right now is, that was when you were 23. That happened when you were 23, diba?
Mhm.
So how did you go from there to where you are right now? Could you trace that path to us? Because I would bet, if you ask me to bet, that that wasn't a straight path, no? How did life treat you? What did it throw at you? What did you throw back at life from that point when you were 23 to navigate towards where you are right now, where that advocacy, that pain that you experienced personally has now become the outlet, almost a full outlet of that experience of 23. So now that you're 28 years old, paano nangyari? How did you get there? Ano yung kwento na?
Okay, so I learned my lesson. So from there, sabi ko, I will now calibrate my approaches in my career. Because prior to that incident, my goal is simply to achieve, to get a better pay and to obtain a position. Okay, kumbaga, na-promote ka, may titulo ka, everything about my brand, everything about my pride. Okay, so I did achieve my goal. Okay, unfortunately, nung na-achieve ko yung goal ko sa taas, puro hangin pala. Di ba? Kulang ako sa substance. That's why I admitted it and I offered to step down. Okay, now, from that point forward, when I seek an alternate career, I made sure that I will start from where I should be. That's when I was accepted to be a training officer in a combination of skin clinic and manufacturing company. So that's that's my journey, how my journey started after that incident. Okay, and then from training officer, I moved to a bigger organization. They hired me as well as a training officer. But from that point forward, sabi ko, dapat by 27 years old, I should be a manager. My goal is only to be a junior manager or department manager level. I miss it when I hit 27. And I feel bad about it. And instead of throwing fits, instead of quitting and resigning, sabi ko, I would rather shut my mouth and just continue doing my job. And while I'm just doing my job, suddenly one of my bosses approached me and said, Sonnie, you missed the training manager position. That is a department manager level. But we have an opening for senior manager position. That is for HR manager. Are you willing? Are you capable to move from training, one area of HR, and to scale up to senior management level, and that is the entire gamut of HR practice. So from there, I was given an opportunity to be a senior HR manager, where I learned most of my management and leadership lessons and tips, and it honed me. Okay, and 10 years after, I was pirated to be an assistant vice president for another company. This time, this is a distributorship of high-end car dealership or high-end Germany made cars. Okay, so yun yung naging journey. And 2 years after that, I said that would be enough. I would be quitting my full-time work and I will be starting as a freelancer. Now, 2 reasons for that. The first one, I would want to spend more time with my kids. Okay. Second reason, this is one thing that I learned in my leadership journey. Bato-bato sa langit, okay? The higher I moved, the dirtier it becomes. The higher the position, the more you will be exposed into a lot of gray areas. This time, I am being asked frankly and directly, remove that vice president for marketing because she is the weakest link. I don't care if we do not have any substantive evidence. I just want that person replaced. And I told the person, I told the president, You pirated this person as a marketing person from another company. She is enjoying a regular full-time job, and then you opted to pirate her. And right now, you wanted to drop her like a hot potato. Okay. And at the back of my mind, if you can do that to that person, then you can do it to me and to anybody here. And I decided I will just wait for 2 years because sa HR, may cycle kami tinatawag eh. Anybody who will applies to me in a certain position that not stayed for at least 2 years in one company, there is that big question mark at the back of my head. I would question the maturity and stability of that applicant. At least you would stay for 2 years, 2 cycles in one job, for you to say that you have given your part and you have learned on that specific role. So I waited for 2 years before I finally say it's quit. Okay, and then from that point forward, since 2010, I pursued an advocacy, and on the sides, I'm also having my side gigs as a consultant and also as a learning provider. So that's my journey and how I ended up being me right now.
Nice. So, Joanna, di ba
Yeah.
nasa GPS Wednesday tayo? So, kakatutok lang natin sa P.
Yeah.
And while, ewan ko sa'yo, Joanna, pero sa loob-loob ko, parang mas malalim pa tong P ni,
Meron
Sir,
pang kaya, may hugot pa.
may hugot. Matindi.
Yeah.
Hugot na yun, no?
You-
Pero palagi ko, marami pang mahuhukay na hugot dyan. Pero, here's my suggestion, and I'm gonna pass the baton on to you, Joanna. I think maybe we can triangulate back to P later on. And tutukan naman natin yung other 2 points, no? Which is genius on one hand and then service on the other hand. Why? I just like to bring our audience along, our community along. No? We have these GPS Wednesdays with thanks to our guests like Sonnie who let us into their lives. No, not just for the celebrity and the drama of being able to walk into some bright star's life and inner story. Not just for the cuento of it, but because one person's coordinates, his G, his P, his S, his genius, his purpose and service, in witnessing and reflecting on the story and the journey of how they allowed these 3 points to bring them to where they are, and to bring them not just to where they are in terms of success, but in terms of impact. Kita niyo naman si Sonnie. Its impact, like I said, may connection yan. His being altruistic towards his family, his kids, his wife, and his being altruistic towards his fellow HR professionals. May pinanggagalingan yan eh. Saan nanggaling yon? What is the life force that is guiding Sonnie, pulling Sonnie? Because when we reflect on that, we learn not just about Sonnie, we learn about ourselves as well. And this is really why Sonnie, again, is doing all of us a service. So I'm gonna pass the baton on to you, Joanna. Pumili ka between genius and service, kung saan natin huhukayin again next. Of course, well, there's a comment from Noemi, sana all, no? Pero it's just a matter of what next. Pupuntahan natin yung pangatlo eh. Tapos iikot-ikot ulit tayo. Kasi there's always a dance between these three. Week in and week out, Wednesday in and Wednesday out, we witness this. There is an intricate dance, an equilibrium. If we are honest and brave, remember Joanna's seesaw, right? The deeper we live up to our truth, to our GPS, the higher we fulfill our potential. And when I look at Sonnie, I may not see somebody who is, in all respects, a classic definition of success. No, that's not what this show is about. It's about, is he fulfilling his highest potential, which is to say his greatest impact in the world with the gifts that he was given. And I think we have a man here who is clearly in the seesaw sense, no, living up to his deepest truths and so fulfilling his highest potential. Now, we've only talked about one of the coordinates to his deepest truth, which is purpose. So, Joanna, it's up to you where you take it next, genius or service. I'll be listening in, but I'll be walking around. So I'm going to turn off my camera.
Before I choose if we're gonna go to genius or service, I'm gonna address si Noemi. Sabi niya kasi hashtag sana all, right? I think what she's referring to is not sana all we're gonna get into the GPS, no, but definitely we're gonna get there. It's sana all, sana pareho tayo ni Sonnie, no. He's a kind of, everybody's admiring you for all these things that you're talking about. And Noemi, sana all, hindi sana all, lahat tayo ganito. Like we believe, here in Ignite, what we believe is that each and every person has his and her own, yes, exactly, her own GPS. We all have it. Each person is a unique person, a unique individual with his and her own genius, purpose, and service. Walang exempted. All of us have been given gifts. And genius for us, when as we define it, is not a label. It's not a label that we say na itong tao to, she's smart and beautiful, that's her genius. No, it's not it. We cannot define, just label genius as it is. Genius is actually a combination of a lot of things, a combination of your strengths, your talents, your skills, who you are in totality. And the only way for us to be able to tell you what your genius, tell others what your genius is through a story. The way Sonnie is sharing his story with us, which I'm sure already a lot of you are already seeing this, hindi lang ganun pangkaklaro. Because each one of us, if we're making a situation better or someone better because of our presence, that defines our genius. That defines who we are, that uniqueness in each and every person, so that we can make something that is challenging or difficult better, so that we can impact that particular person's life or that particular difficult situation, so that because of our presence, it's better for everyone who's involved. So that's how we define genius. So giveaway na, that's what I'm choosing. Sonnie, that's what I'm gonna ask you, no? So many things have changed in the world. Like right now, di ba, nagkaroon ng pandemic. January, February, sobrang iba yung mundo nung time na yun. So many things changed. Pero, what is it in you? We will allow you na magbuhat ng bangko ngayon. Magbuhat ka naman ng konti ng bangko. What is it in you that is good, that is gifted, that remains in you no matter how much the world changes? All these years, yung pinagdaanan mo. And that allowed you all these years to stay relevant and keep being a force for good. So the stage is yours again, so that you can share with us your stories about your genius.
Okay, in the book of Ecclesiastes, may sinabi kasi doon na there is nothing new under the sun.
Okay.
Okay, so whatever happens, even though technology advances, the same banana ang may experience natin. Nagbago lang ng toppings, nagbago lang ng icing, but the main ingredients are one and the same. Okay, so the different battles that I went through, that will remain relevant regardless of the time. Okay, walang social media noon when I went through those battles. May social media ngayon, may apps ngayon. But when you ask people, they still experience unfairness, injustice, harassment, and bullying in the workplace. All right? So regardless of the changes, it will still be the same. So what I have in me, the battles that I went through, during the time na pinagdadaanan ko yon, ang hirap. Okay, kung ano-anong sakit ang naramdaman ko sa katawan because of stress. Okay? But looking back, nobody can take away the wisdom that I gained. All right? So regardless of the changes, magpalit man ang magpalit yung different generations ng HR practitioners, what I went through will remain the same. The gold nuggets that I was able to unearth and polish during those difficult times will remain as gold. Okay, ang challenge lang dito kasi may principle, may another principle in the Bible, this time New Testament. Meron somewhere in the gospel, I just cannot recall, ang sabi doon is, do not throw your pearls to the pigs, otherwise they will trample it. So ano naman ibig sabihin nun? You just have to choose the kind of people you will invest your time with to educate them, to build them, to guide and help them. Because not everybody will appreciate your jewel. Not everybody will appreciate your diamond or your gold. So you don't want to throw that to people who will just trample on it. Okay? So the things that I went through, those will be relevant regardless of what happened to time. Okay? Now, how do I use it for proper service? Kung tatalon tayo sa S, G is what I have. Okay? Then S, then I will have to pick and choose among the different practitioners, HR or not, who will appreciate the nuggets of wisdom, the diamonds that I was able to acquire because of experience, and then share it with them so that they need not to go through hell to be able to learn the things that I have learned.
Di pa kita papakawalan, Sunny, sa genius. Kulang pa. Pero before I ask you that, I'm gonna give you a short break. I'm gonna tell everyone, no? I'm seeing some comments on the side. Ang galing ng mga comments that I'm reading. So, Ira's saying, season changes, but same people growing and strengthening in character. No, do not give dogs what is sacred. Throw your pearls to the pigs. So they're actually embracing what you're sharing with them. I'm gonna just tell everyone, no? I didn't mention this earlier, but I told you to listen close, really close to what the guest, our featured guest, Sonnie, is saying, because later on at the end of the session, we will be giving Sonnie a gift. We will actually mirror his truth. We will be going back to the app later on, and we're going to be typing some of the things that Sonnie is telling us in our own words. We will be able to reflect that back to him. And by doing so, it will actually help us as well. See our own truths, mirror our own truths back to us, so that we will be able to discover our geniuses and purpose as well. So that is our pabaon later for Sonnie, just putting it out there. So, Sonnie, hindi ka pa makakawala sa genius. Sabi ko sa'yo, magbuhat ka ng bangko eh. Hindi ka pa rin. The only thing I heard from you actually is you were talking about wisdom. You're talking about the gold nuggets that you were unearthing because of all these difficult times, right? Because of all the challenges that you faced. But I still want to hear stories on how you make things better. How you allowed these difficult times to stay relevant, for you to be relevant and to be a force for good. Sino ba si Sonnie? Ano yung kabutihan mo na naibigay mo sa lahat ng tao na na-encounter mo sa buhay mo during this difficult time? I know that there are a lot of stories. We want to hear stories. We want to hear like people, you don't have to name names, but these people that you have really impacted because of your goodness. Yun yung story na gusto namin marinig.
Kahapon, I was with a client, and on my way home, kasabay ko yung isa sa mga employee doon, not an HR practitioner. Okay. And then habang naglalakad kami palabas ng building, sabi niya, "Finally, sir, I was able to meet you." Sabi ko, ang tagal na nating magkasama, even doon sa other office pa, sa Manila office. Sabi niya, "No, sir, hindi mo naiintindihan eh. I was following your blog, your website, long before I transferred to this company. Every time I've encountered some issues sa workplace, and every time that I would Google, it always ends up in your blog. So I decided to follow it." Okay, so sabi niya, at least I'm happy now that I saw the person behind the Asani.info blog. That's one. The other one, about another example, about 6 months ago, I think, somebody messaged me at LinkedIn. Sabi niya ganon, ito mas at the beginning of the year pala, at the beginning of the year. Because I made a short post, ang sabi ko is, these are the top, the most visited posts in my blog for the last decade, because it's 2020, so I summed up what are the top or most visited blogs for the last 10 years. And then highlighted that, made it in a post, and shared it in different social media platforms. And then one person that I didn't know messaged me and sabi niya, "Hi, Sir Sonnie, it's just want to let you know, to sound off, that Your blog has been part of my HR journey. I used to be a rank and file, and I used to receive instruction from my bosses. And whenever I am confused, whenever I am lost, I just visited your blog. I just want you to know right now that I'm occupying a senior management position. And I would like to say thank you because you have been part of my journey, though not physically, but your presence online is something that I cherish up to now. That's another example. Now, looking back during my HR operations years or during the time when I was still employed, some of my HR staff back then, and even the employees that I work with, they still thank me and say, "Sir, right now I am a manager or head of my department in HR, and I can still remember the time na pinagbayad mo kami ng kulang ng sweldo ng ibang empleyado dahil ayaw mo pagintayin sila ng another cut-off." Because at the time, lagi kong sinasabi sa kanila, pag nagkamali kayo sa kaperahan ng empleyado, huwag niyong pagintayin ng another cut-off para bayaran. Hindi nila ma-realize yon. So what I did is, nagkulang ka, magkano kulang mo, kukunin ko sa sweldo mo, bayaran mo yung empleyado. Pagdating ng next cut-off at ibinigay na sa kanila, tsaka ka babayaran ng empleyado. So that has been my practice before para hindi nila gagawing excuse na meron pa namang next cut-off para mabayaran sila. Well, people with positions or yung mga white-collar jobs, they can afford to wait for the next cut-off. But for the minimum wage earners, bago pa dumating na sweldo, may pupuntahan na yan. Yung iba, sinasanla pa nila yung ATM cards nila. Tapos, magiging balahura ka pagdating sa computation ng sweldo nila. Diba? So for them to really see what these people are going through, sa kanila ko binawas.
Yeah.
Diba? So bumalik sila, sabi na, "Sir, thank you for that," because even though that was difficult at the time, I was able to understand how to manage people properly. So right now, sabi niya ganon, I am already enjoying this position as an HR head, and thanks to you. Yung isang staff ko, na sinabihan ko at the time, dahil masyadong matalino sinabihan ko sa kanya, sabi ko sa kanya, "Please, masakit tong sasabihin ko, but listen carefully. I did not hire you to use your brain. I hired you to just do your job. Follow orders." Okay. Now I will be happy if you think na you have outgrown your job and you will seek better employment elsewhere. I will not take it against you. But if you will choose to stay, I cannot promise you anything, but I will treat you the way you should be treated and reward you the way you wanted to be rewarded. Okay. Within my powers, the bounds of my authority. So nag-stay siya for about a year and then naghiwalay kami. Even though matagal na siyang nag-resign, she keeps in touch with me. Up to now, she keeps in touch with me, pero entrepreneur na siya. Businessman na siya. Okay, nagmamanage siya sa isa sa mga headhunters. Nagde-deploy o nag-hire ng mga employees for other companies. So these are just examples. Okay, that when I cross paths with people, I try to leave a footprint or digital print in their lives. That somehow, one day, if they are trying to face or make a decision, they would somehow recall what I shared with them. Bawat isa sa atin kasi merong cross path na we will have to make a choice.
Yeah.
Ang aking isang objective is lahat ng ginagawa ko, lahat ng sinasabi ko, lahat ng sinusulat ko, I hope the people who will bump into me will consider that as one of the options before they can make a hard decision. Okay lang na hindi nila sundin yung aking ginawa, sinabi o sinulat. Diba? Okay lang yon because that is not my objective. But masaya na ako kung i-consider nila ito in their decision-making process. Mostly, yun yung masasabi kong nagiging impact ko on the people that I cross paths with. Isa sa problema ko, isa sa weakness ko, and I think some of the people in my circle knew it. Mahina ako sa muka at saka sa pangalan. So kung nagkita tayo, nag-cross path tayo once or twice, pag nakita tayo uli, certainly, I will not remember you. So akala nila suplado ako, pero that is my weakness. Okay, and kadalasan may lumalapit nagsasabing salamat. Minsan may nakakasalubong ako, ngumingiti, "Sir, ngumingiti na lang ako pabalik," pero at the back of my mind, sino nga ba sila? Saan ko nga ba sila nakasalamuha? Diba? Tapos pag kinausap pa rin nila ako, then I will have to ask the difficult question. Saan nga ba tayo nagkita? Pasensya na, ano nga ba pangalan mo? Diba? And then they will begin to share their stories. Okay?
Yeah.
I guess
Sunny.
that is something that I could just brag about.
Yeah. Buti ka pa, napagkamal na ka lang suplado. Ako, suplado talaga ako.
Godfather eh.
No, I can relate to that. I'm also not very good at names. Ang ano ko, style ko dyan, I'll just invent a name. Kasi kaysa nangangapa ka, di ba? Oh, let's say I saw Joanna. Oh, Anne. Then let her correct. I'm Joanna. It's less awkward than So, but no, but you don't mean to be suplado. It's just that not one of our gifts, right? Hindi tumatabla. Anyway, I wanted to bring up about 3-4 sentences ago. You mentioned the crossroads and decision making. No, for a man like yourself, even with the strength of your principles and what you care about, you could have taken this to so many, even mission-driven outlets, no? I can imagine somebody like you, for example, being in the HR Association of the Philippines or PMAP and taking it the advocacy that way, or continuing to be in senior management. But yung path na tinahak mo in your own particular way, led by your own GPS, is very distinct. No, you obviously crossed through many crossroads, diba? And you chose this, and you ended up in this distinct path that is very uniquely Sonnie's. No? I have a theory as to why that is, and let me share it with you, and maybe you can comment as to whether it's spot on or not. And this goes back to, again, the triangulation between genius, purpose, and service. No? In your case, your pain was the injustices, the lack of principle in the conduct of HR, and then coupled with the financial vulnerability of many HR professionals. No? Now, that's what I'm commenting on as a path na madami naman pwede pagpuntahan yan. Pero ang pinagpuntahan mo is you write blogs, you have decided to form and nurture a community within a specific strata of HR professionals, no, which is unique. And I'll let you comment on what this strata is, no. But it's not obviously HR in the sense that PMAP does it or HR Association of the Philippines or whatever. You're not focusing on training. It's a particular class of HR. My sense is that when you look at your purpose and the pains you experienced, that your triangulation was your genius. And also your service, no? Your genius in what sense? Na, kasi the way you can address a particular pain, let me use a metaphor. What do you do with a nail? You hammer it, right? So, but you have to be a hammer. You cannot use a saw to hammer a nail. So what I mean is when we meet a pain, we can approach it in the particular way that we are gifted to heal that pain, which I can approach the same pains, for example, Sonnie, as you're approaching, but I have different gifts or geniuses than you, and I would therefore have probably ended up in a different path. Diba? So one point of it is your gifts in relation to this pain, how you can heal this pain. And I'd like to maybe hear a bit more specificity and candidness from you in terms of how have your particular gifts allowed you to address this particular pain and made you make the decisions and the journey that you have. But also there's the other part, which is service naman. Service in Ignite, as the third part of GPS, we refer to as who are the people you have encountered in your life. Parang they're always knocking on your doors. You're always encountering them. And they become the substance of your call to service. No? And again, when I look at the types of HR professionals that you serve, that you've nurtured through the years, hindi naman sila lahat lang, may particular type. So maybe you can comment again on the particular triangulation of GP and S in your life that has led you towards this particular career path, this particular mission and advocacies, as opposed to many other missions that are equally good, but that you're not in. Does that make sense, the question?
Okay, I also believe this, this philosophy. We always face this choice. We can ride on somebody else's wave, but it is not your wave. or you can create your own wave. Another analogy is you can be a rock star on somebody else's kingdom, or you can be the king in your own bungalow. Okay? So my choice is always, I would rather create my own wave rather than ride on somebody else's wave. I'm not saying they are wrong. Okay, I'm not saying I do not want to be associated with them. I simply wanted to be me.
Okay. So that makes a lot of sense. No? So making your own waves. But the particular waves that you've chosen, maybe you can describe it to us. The advocacy uh, and your particular journey took you through writing blogs, being in media, and then nurturing this particular community of HR professionals who are very close to you. No, um, why this particular path? For example, well, I know that you just mentioned you wanted to ride your own waves, but there's many waves you could have or trails you could have blazed on your day. What led you to this particular path?
All right. If we talk about the different organizations, professional organizations, now they are already catering to a specific group of people within the larger community of HR professionals. Maraming napag-iiwanan that are not part of a larger or bigger organization. If you are blessed to be part of a large company who can afford to sponsor your membership to send you into this different conferences or meetups, then good. All right. And that's not bad at all. But what about the people? Again, these people, a one-man HR, these people that are left to fend for themselves, people that are not being sent to training, people who are not given the proper guidance for the professional growth and development. Who will reach out to them? Okay, that's why I specifically move towards this path, because there is this segment in the larger community of HR that remains to be untouched or unreached out.
Oh, kita na natin, no? Ito yung talagang, I did not want to put words into Sonnie's mouth, and I certainly am not very intimate with the inner workings of his particular community. Pero ang tansya ko talaga is Sonnie blazed his own trail, not just in creating his own platform, but in in accepting who he was being asked to serve. No? Right? I wonder if you can comment on this, Sonnie. Do we choose who we serve, or do we embrace who we are asked to serve? So, in your very specific situation, it's very clear, and yun na nga yung I didn't want to put those words in your mouth, but you clearly are serving a strata of the HR space that was underserved, that is not part of the big organization. Everybody wants to go to the big conferences, right? Paid for by the bosses and the company, and you do your song and dance, and it's all fun. But what about the 1-man, 2-man, 3-man HR strata that you are serving? Did you choose to serve them? Was it some analytical process that said, Michael Porter's 5 forces of strategy, medyo underserved to, ito ang papasukan ko para maging star tayo dyan? Or did you encounter these people and their pain spoke to you, and you knew you were gifted in a particular way to serve them, and you embraced this? Could you comment on those two very different types of realities? Because, Sonnie, before you answer that, this is the crux of GPS and how it leads you to your greatest impact. Is Sonnie's greatest impact to be the president of PMAP? Just to exaggerate. Or Sonnie's greatest impact to serve where he's serving now? This is the crux of GPS. So tell us.
You embrace where who are you supposed to be serving. Okay, you do not chart. Yes, probably to some people it is applicable. You wanted to be the president of this and that. Yes, that is doable and that is achievable. But the question is, do you belong there? Is it the right fit? Okay. Sometimes the things that you went through, the gifts that were given to you, it is meant to specifically address situations or issues or pain points of specific people. Diba? So, kung alam mo kung sino yung dapat mong pagsilbihan, then you go for it. Diba? Huwag kang magpatumpik-tumpik. If you feel you do not belong to a certain strata, then you just accept the fact. Diba? Ganun lang naman kasimple yun eh. I always tell Aileen on the sides, whenever I would attend certain meetings like this or large conferences, I would rather sit at the back and keep quiet. Okay? And observe first. Ayokong laging bankero nandoon. I wanted to learn from people as well. And if it is at my community, then I would rather shut my mouth and just be one of the crowd, one of the faces in the crowd. Okay. And though I'm being invited here and there to also give similar talks like this, and I do entertain that, and I also do give talks. But I knew kung ano yung specific segment, the kind of people that I can leave the best or the greatest impact. So, para sa akin, you have to embrace it. You have to identify and know it deeply in your heart and then embrace it.
So I think
It brings satisfaction and happiness.
yes. So you mentioned what was it? Blank and happiness. Did you say?
Peace and happiness.
Peace and happiness.
Satisfaction, peace and happiness.
Yeah, there have been a lot of studies. I'm sure you're aware of these. It became even the subject of TED Talks that our fulfillment in life doesn't come from being happy, but rather from finding meaning in our lives. You know, bad case scenario, you find out you have cancer tomorrow. It's fine. It's hard to be happy about that, but you can find meaning in it. Diba? Bad news will come. It's hard to be happy with bad news at the same time, but you can find meaning in it. And it goes back again to the seesaw that Joanna mentioned, no? Because you're almost a prototypical sketch of what this seesaw is. No? Somebody who lives their deepest truths. And your truth is different from mine. Even you can line up 100 different people who maybe experience the same pain and empathy that you had in the HR profession, but they will have 100 different deep truths as to how they navigate through that, no? Because they have different gifts, and they also encounter different people, and it is these encounters that start speaking to you about who, sabi mo nga, kanino ka hiyang, where are you fit, where do you feel at home, not just because they welcome you, but you feel like their particular pains you are gifted to heal in particular ways, no? And that's when you can hear the voice of service, no? So maybe Joanna, we can at least give a due spotlight to the question of service, even though pinagdaanan na natin kanina pa tayo pabalik-balik
Yeah.
service, eh. But just to make it explicit in the minds of our community, the question on service, which we will post to Sonnie for him to address to the extent na hindi pa niya na-address, no? Maybe some parting comments on the point of service. If we can ask Houston to flash the question. So service is, where is the greatest abundance of gifts in my life? How does my greatest abundance intersect the greatest needs of the world as I have personally encountered them in my life? And here's the question. Beyond my inner circle of family and friends, di ba tayo mga Filipino, palagi tayong family first, inner circle friend first, my barangay first, my neighborhood first, my region first, my fellow Ilonggos first. But beyond our inner circle of family and friends, who are people at this intersection who need me, whose pains call out to my giftedness? So in your case, we've seen already how life, your GPS has brought you to this particular path. Talk to us naman about the people you encountered that clarified to you na, I, Sonnie, I'm not supposed to be there. I'm supposed to be here. And this is service.
Okay.
Yeah.
Kadalasan kasi, most of, ito yung the people outside my immediate and the intermediate circles. Ano. Ito yung to whom it may concern na. So these people generally are the people following me on my social media accounts and sa aking website and sa aking blog. And they throw questions and then you answer them. And even to the point na minsan they would be requesting for a personal meeting, and then the casual engagement became professional, and sometimes it became a mentor-mentee relationship. Now, it's my position is always, my premise is always, what I went through in life and what I am sharing with the people is not necessarily the best template for you. I'm just simply here giving you insights here and there, and then the final choice and decision is you will have to make your own choice and pursue your own path. Just make sure that the path that you're pursuing is something that you are made or designed to address, designed to serve, and the gifts and also the experiences that you went through, lahat yon may meaning, may purpose. You just have to make sure that you also bring back, return something to the community. Okay, so yung to whom it may concern ko, yung outside the circle, generally it's the followers in the social media and also the blogs. On the real world naman, this is something that we do in the church. Like we try to contribute something for the people at Aroma, yung mga ando dun sa mga lugar na medyo depressed. So whatever we can, we try to contribute. If we can cook for them, then we volunteer to cook for them. Meron kasi kaming parang staff house that we do the daily feeding for these depressed kids. So doon nagluluto around 4 a.m., nagluluto, tapos around 6 a.m., dinidistribute na siya. So sometimes we do volunteer as a whole family. We go there, we do volunteer sa pagdating do sa cooking. And if we cannot do that physically, then we try to also contribute something financially. Okay, it may not be that much, but that is still something that we can offer and we can do. And pagdating naman sa sasakyan, we always try to ensure na meron kami mga biskwit or any food that we can share along the way. Pag may kumatok, then we can give them something. It may not be money, but at least we can give them something para pang pawid gutom. Kung totoong sila nga ay nagugutom, at least they have something to fill their stomach. So generally, yun yung to the people outside the immediate circle.
Yeah, so I think this is a very clear story. It made our conversation a lot easier because Sonnie has a very tight triangulation talaga between his GPS and the kind of impact he's been living. Palagay ko, Joanna, we should ask Sonnie, with so much having been said about where he came from, how this all started, and how he got here. Tanungin natin siya because this is such a crisis-filled moment in history and in our personal lives. I know natanong na natin to, no? But maybe we can revisit the question again in the context of everything we've talked about, which is, Sonnie, where are you now? What is the next level breakthrough? Having said made all this kwento, ano yung, I know you mentioned the code, for example. But maybe even beyond the code, because the code, for example, is 2-3 months in, you're almost there, you're almost ready to debut it, to launch it, to cascade it. Kumbaga, what's next that kind of captures the bigger picture of what you're trying to get at? Ito yun eh. So, the future of, ano yung future of that blank that you're trying to fill right now that is really meaningful to you? And if I could prevail upon Houston to maybe flash the question of next level breakthrough before we turn it over to Sonnie for his more specific comment on ano. So if you notice, there's a specific line of questioning here. Well, everyone has their own next level breakthroughs. What is yours, Sonnie? What are the most meaningful breakthroughs you want for yourself and your teams in the next 3 to 6 months? Or maybe you have another timeline from there for them. Who among your stakeholders, is it your customers, your colleagues, your partners, your community, who will benefit the most if you break through? what is the impact of your breakthrough on them? How will their lives be better in meaningful ways because of your breakthrough? So we really want you to talk about your breakthrough in terms of something meaningful that you want to achieve, but also in the sense of how it's going to impact not just yourself, but the people that you want to serve the most. You've mentioned family, you've mentioned your community. If you want to go back to them, maybe just retouch it and recap it for us.
Okay, so on the personal side, on the family side, I would want to spend more time with my daughter, especially as she begins her journey in terms of pastries and exploring, experimenting with foods and selling them. Okay, so I want to be on that side and just to assist my daughter on that aspect, and as well as my son in terms of making decision in terms of the career, and to have more time with my wife in terms of her own personal journey as well. Okay, now if on the professional side, now if we are able to set up this skill set and this framework, then it will be helpful both to the employer as well as to the HR. There will be less friction, less missed expectations between the two kung meron silang parameters na sinusundan. It probably it is not needed for the larger organizations because everything is already defined, the protocols, the process map, it's already laid down. It's only a matter of following the template. But to startup organizations, small and at some extent the medium-sized organization, this is something that is helpful. Because if the employers would know what to expect to HR and the HR would know what is the skill sets that he or she should develop and the mindset that she have, then the expectation leveling will be much easier. Business planning, strategic planning will be much more easier. And HR could focus on the initiatives that will matter most to the organization. Now, the problem right now with that specific group of companies, they really do not know what to expect from HR. They themselves are confused.
Hmm.
Okay, they will throw a lot of operational expectations to their HR, but at the same time, they are expecting them to provide direction on the strategic component. Now, the operational aspect of HR is time consuming. When you dive into that, then you will have you can address the operational issues. Okay, but you cannot expect the HR to assist you on the strategic component because managing benefits, managing the issues in terms of labor relations, industrial disputes, industrial peace, as well as payroll, these are time consuming, especially for labor intensive organization. Ito yung kakain ng oras mo, mauubos yung oras mo kahit na marami kang ginagawang pagpaplano and everything. Once na disrupt yung yung train thought mo, then tapos na yon. And then magpapatay ka ng sunog. Kadalasan ng HR nagpapatay ng apoy, nagpapatay ng sunog. And that is one of the reason kung bakit pumupurol din ang kokote ng HR, because they are so immersed on fighting different, diffusing different fires, they fail to enhance themselves to address the bigger issues. Ano yung root cause nitong mga apoy na to? Di ba? So ngayon, kung nakikita na yung dalawa, they can focus on the root cause.
Yeah, I wonder if we can reflect a little bit on the market components of market realities of the HR issues that you care so much about. I wonder, and I pose this as an honest to goodness question. After all, the GPS Wednesdays that we talk about here should channel problem solving and innovation. I wonder if the architecture and model of HR for smaller organizations should continue the way it is right now. Another way of putting that is small organizations that hire 1, 2, or 3 HR staff. Is that the kind of architecture that will work? Versus, for example, should they maybe avail of the HR function from not full-time HR employees, but maybe from an HR collective? Yeah, again, you know what I'm saying? Kasi HR collective means, for example, your community, you turn yourself into a super HR collective, each with areas of specialization that then imagine, just to make this a bit more approachable, let's say you have 100 members in your HR community and they work for 70 different organizations. So if they were to all quit their jobs, put up an HR collective, and that HR collective starts to serve 30 out of these 70 organizations, and these 30 organizations, instead of hiring their own HR professionals, who will, to your point, always be swamped, always be just fighting fires and never really proactively creating value because they're always just swamped and they can never build. They can just turn on hoses and direct it. Maybe so. In other words, I'm starting to question whether the fundamental model and architecture works, or whether it's time from a bigger picture strategic point of view, and also from the point of view of a deep desire to impact, whether it's time to re-examine and challenge the architecture.
Just
I
to
agree with you.
just to chime in, Sonnie, no, sorry, before you answer that, kasi kanina ko pa yun narinig, when we started, you were saying that yung impact that you want is actually, you're creating a different tribe here. Eh. You want HR, you may puso talaga sa HR, but at the same time, you are empowering them financially, right? You're teaching them entrepreneurship as well. And Andre is kind of leading us towards that direction. Pero pinagsasama na niya. Pero in my head naman, maybe you can address this question as well. In my head, kanina ko pa ito iniisip na these HRs that you are trying to impact, these are the people who are in love with being an HR, but at the same time, you would want to like mold them in such a way so that they can be financially free, right? Financially abundant, I would say, because they have their own other source of income. So in terms of impact, paano kung dumating sa point that these people are kind of being led to do entrepreneurship that's totally away from HR, right? So what is that impact that you are trying to achieve in terms of individuals? Are you trying to impact them as keeping their hearts on HR and at the same time empowering them to be independent? Or it's okay for you to impact their lives by just, empowering them and having an abundant life, being an entrepreneur, regardless if they will still stay in HR? So maybe you can integrate that in your answer.
Entrepreneurship is not the cup of tea for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, 90 to 95% of the existing HR practitioners, they will remain as an HR practitioner or professional. All right. So they are made for it. Okay. They just have to make sure that they will not hurt themselves and their family in their journey towards their career. If they belong to a larger, established, and pretty fair organization, then that should not be an issue. Now, if they just want to be safe and secure, if they develop a side gig, it does not necessarily mean that they should be on top of it or they should be immersed in it. All right, they can employ people. They can ask some of the relatives to attend to that specific side gig or side hustle, and it could coexist. I've seen some people who are able to keep their HR job and at the same time maintain some side hustles. The side hustle will not grow something big, but that side hustle will always be there to make sure that the family will not be hurt. Now, if the HR professional somehow along the way, they would begin to see now, entrepreneurship is better. The pay is good. Mas maganda pa lang walang boss. Diba? And then there is limitless potential in terms of generating income. Diba? And if it is their cup of tea, then by all means, let them pursue it. Hindi mauubusan ng HR professional dito sa Pilipinas. Okay? Merong mga gagraduate from being an employee to being an entrepreneur. Then we have new fresh graduates that will be coming in. And the cycle will continue. Okay? If we develop and influence the HR professionals now, and the same people can do the same to the future generation of HR professionals.
Okay. And maybe you want to answer Andre's question when it comes to his idea
The
of
architecture.
the architect. Yes.
Yes, I think it's about time to challenge the existing architecture. Now, the root cause of the problem basically is both the mindsets of the entrepreneur and also the HR. Okay? Among the HR practitioners, among us, we are shooting our own foot. Okay, just like for example, somebody messaged me and nagka-crowdsource siya in order to address a specific issue doon sa kanyang company. But of course, the generous side of me assisted the person. But in doing so, I may also be doing a disservice to the larger community. Sa papaanong paraan? If we talk about the other science, the other profession, before you would contribute something, there should be an economic exchange, or meaning to say there should be a conversion. I give you a specific service and then you pay me. In that sense, everything is highly transactional. Pero pagdating sa HR, hindi ganon. So si HR nagka-crowdsource at makakakuha ng sagot yan dahil maraming HR na masyadong immersed pagdating sa peer mentoring. Well, that is good in one sense. Pero in the other sense, tinuturuan mo yung mga startup o yung mga bagong entrepreneur na ang HR pala okay lang na ganyan. Kahit hindi ka mag-invest sa professional development nila, matututunan nila yan somewhere. In short, habang ginagawa mo yan, bumababa ang value ng HR. Diba? Hindi mo na kailangan ng certification, makukuha mo lang yan dyan sa tabi-tabi. Mag-join ka ng mga Facebook group and so on and so forth. Okay? Pero pagdating sa iba, meron silang professional mentoring program, coaching program, and so forth. And people are willing to pay. Pagdating sa HR, hahanap muna tayo ng libre bago tayo maghanap nun sa babayaran. So, it's kind of two-edged sword. Okay? Kaya ang sabi ko, it's the mindset. We have to educate both the entrepreneur, and in my own capacity, it may be limited, but the clients in my circle, I always let them know. You just have to define what is your specific expectations sa HR. If it is strategic, then let us outsource the operational side. If you want operational efficiency with your HR, and then you outsource yung sa strategic. Okay? It's my way of educating them. And pagdating naman sa mga HR professionals, what we are currently doing is somehow to really educate them na dapat ganito. And then, challenging the architecture, that's actually a very good idea. Diba? Na it's a outsourcing the HR instead of a specific consulting group. It is a collective HR. And that is something that is viable, and I think that is doable. But the thing is, sa dinami-dami ng HR practitioner na magiging freelancers then bigla because they wanted to serve specific companies in a certain collective, it may also backfire. It is worth pursuing, worth studying, diba? And then magkaroon siguro ng testing the waters before rolling it out into a larger operations. But yes, that is a good suggestion, and it is about time to challenge the architecture, or if not challenge, review.
So again, I think this is a perfect conversation in that our GPS conversation did lead to potential market gaps and challenging of architecture that might lead to innovation. So I will let Aileen on the back end pursue these masahe pa ng konti yung HR collective idea and architecture, but you know where to find us. Our bread and butter is really innovating, not in the margins, but in this sense. No, what's the blue ocean big idea? But as you can see, the way we approach that is from a deep sense of empathy, of first understanding what's wrong, what's really wrong at the human level that's not working. And what I'm hearing here is at this strata of HR, at the SMEs, in a sense kasi, in venture capital, in the world of innovation, it works this way. If I invest 10 million pesos in one company as a venture investor, helping them with their innovation, versus I invest 100 million pesos in another company, I work the same, they demand the same, I have to sit on their boards, I have to think the same way. So I'm better off spending 100 million pesos in one investment than in a 10 million, because they're going to demand the same thing for me. What I'm saying is, as an HR professional, whether you work for a big company or a small company, the demand on you is the same. So the architecture of a small company only being able to afford 3 people or 1 people will never work for that company or for the HR professional. Pareho silang kawawa. And ang kawawa, yung mga empleyado. So, I think if we really cared about this, this is where we said GPS will lead you to empathy, which is, I know the situation, I can relate to it. But empathy is not good enough for innovation. It is nowhere near good enough. We must move from empathy to compassion, which is, compassion means I know how broken it is. I know the pains of that broken model, and so I want to do something about it. That's compassion. I don't think in the Bible you will ever hear, and Jesus had empathy for them. No, Jesus had compassion for them, right? To use a very stark example of the difference between empathy, knowing somebody's pain, and compassion, which is, I know your pain and I want to do something about it, right? And I think if this is really an endemic problem in this strata of HR, then improving the situation as it is really going nowhere. We must challenge the architecture. And this is our specialty in Ignite. This is why we exist, is to challenge architectures that don't work. Why? Because we care about the people who are suffering, because it won't work and it will never work under the current I think on that note, Joanna, we should invite now our audience to do the mirroring exercise.
Yes.
And Sunny, stand by lang. So we will now go through the process of involving our audience, some of whom are your colleagues who know you very well, and we will ask them to now reflect back to you. Nobody else will get this reflection but you. What they heard and what they saw as your genius, your purpose, and your service, and your next level breakthroughs. And if you'll allow us to do that, we will take a few moments to do this. Joanna will explain.
Yep. So, of course, if you're inside the app already, please go back to the app, and Houston will lead the way. Okay, so just scroll down, go back to the GPS Wednesday. All right, and then click next, and then there you go. So here, if you click that button, all right, we're here already, you will see this prompt, okay? It says, thinking about our guest, what keywords and images come to mind about their genius? What is it in them that is good, that is gifted, that remains in them no matter how much the world changes, that allows them to stay relevant and keep being a force for good? So all you need to do is just type in, you don't have to type like full sentences. You can type in keywords or images, anything that comes to mind. There's no right or wrong answer. I think somebody already in the audience was starting already earlier, putting some keywords on the chat box, reflecting to Sonnie what they think is his genius is. And then below that, if you can scroll down, there's another prompt. We will do this at the same time. It says, thinking about our guest, what keywords and images come to mind about their purpose and service? What human or societal conditions seem to draw out a deeper empathy and compassion for them? Beyond the pains of their inner circle of family and friends, what broader societal pains seem to call out to them so that they care enough to give the gifts, to give of their gifts and be part of healing that pain? All right, so we're going to give you 5 minutes to answer this. If you're not in the app, it's okay. We'll be flashing this on the screen. You can type your answer in the chat box. If you're doing it in the app, we would love if you can, copy paste it and put it on the chat box as well, because we would want to hear from you later on. If you can put on your mic and just speak up and share this with Sonnie if you feel like doing so. So we have 5 minutes on the clock. We'll start the timer now and enjoy. Houston, we have 2.5 minutes on the clock. Maybe you can scroll down. There you go. All right. We have 20 seconds, 20 seconds remaining.
All right, as we're winding that up, I'm going to let you wind it up, Joanna. Before that, if I could just ask Houston to bring up our NI2 map. Just want to remind our community, we have a partnership with Union Bank, and to be totally transparent about this, Union Bank's not paying us any kind of thing. This is an honest to goodness collaboration between two willing parties who see a shared mission in doing this together. So this is a collaboration. We are giving out the NI2 badge for anyone who completes the 100-day of communities of practice with either option A or option B configuration. So first of all, before I go into option A or option B, what is the NI2 badge? The NI2 badge stands for National Innovators Institute. And think of it as Six Sigma. No? Six Sigma is in the world of corporate life. It's about process improvement and narrowing errors down, to statistical standards of deviation. Now, the NI2 badge is it's like Six Sigma, but it's for innovation and customer centricity. If you want to be able to innovate the way we do in Ignite, we want you to keep on joining our 100 days of community of practice. So you get the NI2 badge after the first 100 days. The next 100-day cycle, you get an NI3 badge, an NI4 badge, and so on and so forth. How do you get the badge? Well, first of all, when you do get the badge and you join the Global Linker community of Union Bank, you will get, besides the benefits of our community of practice, you will get a financial and business bundle, including HR solutions, by the way, from Union Bank, Ignite, and our partner of our network of partners. No? So as we go on through the community of practice, you'll hear announcements, more and more announcements about what these benefits are. So how do you get the NI2 badge and avail of the global linker privileges from Union Bank and partners? You have either option A or option B. So you all of these are, you can get them from the restart.app. We count all of these. So you can do 20 workouts, which are solo exercises or that are dealt out as cards in restart.app. These workouts are all about your own genius, your own purpose, your own service, your own sense of customer centricity. We train you in identifying market opportunities. We train you in rapid prototyping. So those are what the workouts are all about. Anybody can do them. You just have to do them. 10 growth labs. This is a growth lab. Everything we do from 3 p.m. Monday to Friday is a growth lab. So you attend 10 of those. Following every growth lab are postcards. We highlight what the key points were so that there will be a postcard, for example, following today's growth lab. We will, of course, highlight the key takeaways, the quotable quotes, and the highlights from today's and so on and so forth. You will see and then including one launch pad where you need to launch a new product, a new model, or a new solution in the next 100 days. That's option A. Option B is a lot simpler, but they're equivalent. You just attend 40 of these growth labs. You claim the cards that are equivalent to them through restart.app. And you do 5 empathy projects. You should stick around because we are about to launch the empathy project. And again, you need to launch one thing. So if you're interested in this, just stick around and keep joining us. As you saw in the TV commercial a while ago, we have tomorrow, Thursday, we have Innovation Thursdays, 3 o'clock. And somebody will be coming in with their real business challenge. Much like Sonnie came about 60 days ago with their business challenge, out of which was born the inspiration for the code, the hero code that is now about to be launched. So on that note, as you can see, my son is already topless into the pool. So that means it's about time to say goodbye. Joanna?
Okay, yeah, I think we're out of time already to bring in the community to mirror back live kay Sonnie what they've written down in the app. Anyway, Sonnie, you would like to call Sonnie back. The mirroring, the whatever we ask the community to do for you, we're gonna give that to you. Give us a couple of days perhaps to give that back to you. We'll collect that, and then we that's our gift. Pabaon namin yan. So that you would also see how the people who are here with us, the community members, how they were able to see your genius, your purpose, and your service, and mirroring it back to you, and of course mirroring it back to them as well. I'm sure they were able to discover a lot of these genius and purpose and service for them. Ayan pala, meron na nga eh. But we'll send this back to you. Ang bilis na pala ngayon. Surprise! Okay. Thank you so much, Houston. So, we're going to give back the mic to Sonnie for your last words. Can we hear, pabaon mo naman to the community who are here with us for 2 hours, listening to your wonderful stories, inspiring them with all your wisdom, para naman meron ka ring pabaon sa kanila.
It's basically just continue to pay forward. Because the small things that we do, pwede itong mag-ripple and maka-apekto ng mas maraming tao. Okay, if lahat tayo gagawa ng ginagawa ko, then chances are probably the HR community will be a better place, and the employees will be experiencing a more equitable and fair share of treatment from supposedly the management.
All right. Thank you, Sonnie. Thank you so much for spending. Alam namin, sobrang busy ka, but still, you really went out of your way to spend this afternoon with us. Maraming salamat. And Sonnie is part of our community. Yeah, you're part of the community. He's part already of the Ignite House. So thank you so much. Andre, last words so that you can jump into now with your kids sa pool, so we can let you go.
Wala na, suplado na ako ngayon. No, let's let everyone have let's let everyone go. I think we've mission accomplished here because Sonnie made it easy for us. What a wonderful story. More power to you, Sonnie. We hope to see you more often. I hope we've planted and disturbed you a little bit about the HR collective and that whole architecture thing.
Yes, definitely.
To the extent you're interested, we're here at your service. This is what we live for. Okay.
All right. So thank you, Andre. Thank you, Sonnie. Before we let everyone go, I'm going to call in Gerald. Is it Gerald to give us a few words about our app? Yes.
Hi everyone, it's Marky here. I'll be
Marky.
talking to Gerald. So, as we've consistently emphasized, we are a community of practice. Therefore, at the end of every growth lap, we ask you, our dear audience, for your key takeaways through our vehicle, the Restart app. Doing so will also enable you to claim your postcard for today's GPS session with Mr. Sonnie Santos. So kindly go back to Restart app, log in again if you were logged out, scroll down and click Claim found in the GPS Wednesday Growth Lab card. That should lead you here. When you are here, click Key Takeaway at the bottom. Then you will see this prompt. In here, write your realization, personal reflection, or anything notable from today's session with Sir Sonnie Santos. And that's it for our key takeaways. Now, this whole experience doesn't end right here. We would like to invite you to continue the conversation in our Ignite House Facebook community page, which serves as the fuel to our vehicle, the Restart app. With that being said, let's watch our Facebook community ad. Thanks, Houston. So after today's session, we would love to hear from you in our Ignite House community Facebook group. As I mentioned, continue the conversation with the community by writing a post or a comment using the hashtag #ContinueTheConvo. If you want to share something that struck you in today's session, your aha moment, just include the hashtag aha. But if you want to share something you're stuck with, use the hashtag uh-oh. Also, please don't forget to share the group with your friends. Thank you. Back to you, Ms. Joanna.
Thank you, Marky. And I'd just like to add that we have launched already yesterday chat rooms in our Ignite House FB group. We have GPS chat room, we have innovation, and we have wellness chat rooms. So if you wish to continue the conversation in a more targeted way, talk about GPS, talk about wellness, or talk about innovation, please join our chat rooms as well. So having said that, I would like to wrap this up by going back to the 7 most important questions that we were talking about when we started. Who am I? Why am I here? What was I born to do? With who? For who? To heal what pains or feel what needs? With what gifts that I have been given? I hope that we were able to help you answer these questions for yourselves as well. So having said that, I would like to bid everyone goodbye. This is Joanna Alberto on behalf of Andre and our wonderful guest, Sonnie. We bid you goodbye and have a great afternoon.